Hi. Nope. Hi. Hey, how's it going? How you guys doing? How is your Ronin Expo so far?
Good.
How is it not being up the heat? Yeah. Am I too loud right now?
I don't know.
Oh, you. Thank you guys so much. We have a really awesome guest today. Let's see if he's ready. Is he ready? Oh, look at you over there. Do you guys like Devil May Cry?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. We have Reuben Langdon here, and he is. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Yeah. Do a cartwheel. Cartwheel. Just kidding. No. We have Reuben Langdon. Woo! I love your name. I love Langdon. It's just a good last name.
It's a good, it's, Robert Langdon from the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. That's why I keep wanting to say Robert. And I'm like, where the hell is this Robert coming from?
So my name is born with conspiracy. So that's why we're the alien shirt.
Oh, nice. You like aliens?
You obviously haven't looked at my profile.
Oh, I did. I'm just fishing.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out today. I'm going to be asking some questions and then getting some questions from you guys as well. And I'm sure we are all excited to hear more about Devil May Cry. But there's another panel for that as well. We'll dive into it. But there's going to be another panel at 6:30 where this guy is going to be revealing things for the first time, like Dante's middle name. Okay, I don't know. That'd be hilarious if I actually completely spoiled it for you. I was like, you were that was my mic drop moment. Thanks a lot, Tyler.
No, it's good. You set it up good. So, we got this.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Reuben,
yes.
You are a voice actor.
I am one of those. Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
And you've worked on some amazing stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to ask you how to get into voice acting. How do you get into voice acting?
We can go there.
What was the first job that you did that you remember?
The first major job I did was Devil May Cry 3.
Really?
Yeah, that was sort of my foot in the door into that world. Now, I did do some Walla, the background stuff.
Yeah.
I had a friend who worked at, who owned, back in the day, Zero Limit Productions. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No.
They were responsible for for subbing and dubbing, mostly dubbing, all of the major anime back in the day. Gungrave,
Wow.
Ghost in the Shell, all of the major titles.
Those little ones.
Yeah, Akira, those guys.
That is amazing.
So I had told my friend Yutaka, who we'd had friends, and Johnny and Bosch, obviously. So I had worked with Johnny and Patricia Lee on Power Rangers, and I had heard that those cats were doing some voiceover stuff in the anime world, and having just moved back from Japan.
Oh wow! Okay.
I had lived in Japan for 5 years. A fan of like you guys. I was like, hey, how can I get my foot in the door? How can I do that stuff? And then Yutaka was like, well, come, we'll test you out and see, what your acting chops and what kind of stuff we can do. And he gave me some opportunities to come in and do some background stuff.
That is so cool.
And that gave me the opportunity to sort of, get in the booth, understand the system, practice my technique and that kind of thing. So which was really cool. So I was just starting to do that, and then the Devil May Cry project sort of fell on my company at the time, Just Cause Productions, fell on our plate. And then we just went with that, and then it was like, okay, Reuben auditioned for the mocap, which I did, and then they were thinking, Capcom wasn't set on me having the voice. They actually had to audition again, a second time for the voice. And we had given the project the dubbing responsibility, the coordination, I should say, to Zero Limit. So they actually handled all the other casting for the voice actors who were not doing the motion capture. So Dan came back and he did the voice. Adam, most of the main cast we all did our voices of the motion capture characters. We all did our voices. There were some other roles and stuff that needed casting.
But at first you were just this is just a one mocap gig, which is.
This is we took it step by step. So mocap first, and then we did the voiceover after that. So,
nice.
So that was my foot in the door. So an unlikely road to follow, I should say, compared to some other voice actors.
Yeah.
So it was kind of because of my motion capture experience, because I had already been cast on the game as the motion capture actor. They were like, well, we like your voice, why don't you give it a shot? And I'm like, okay, I'd love to, thank you.
I mean, I guess I want to ask, like, I mean, you said that you're from, you were in Japan and everything. Like, were there any anime that you were just like so excited to kind of grow with and understand over there? And I guess with anime and everything coming over here, even video games, like coming over here and seeing them, how was it just kind of seeing these just pop up? And like, what were some of the things that you either wanted to be on or they just got you like so excited for?
Was it? From a young age, I was a huge fan of Robotech, and
nice.
Particularly the Macross Saga, which Robotech, which many of you otakus already know, it's 3 different shows, completely different shows in Japan, and Carl Masick bought the rights to these shows, rewrote them, and sort of combined them into this one epic story, which is actually really good. I think epic compared to the originals. Did a brilliant job, and I was a huge fan of that growing up as a kid. I was like, I wanted to be a pilot, I wanted to fly a mech, and that was what I woke up for every day. And then, so following that series, then moving to Japan and actually living in Japan, and then for many years there was like Macross, the OAV series, and there was a few offshoots, but then Macross, I think it's 7, was actually on TV in real time as I was watching. Also the Street Fighter anime, which I was a big fan of Street Fighter before I even got the role.
Oh wow.
And that was playing as well in real time on TV. So I was in anime heaven. You're watching your favorite shows in real time on TV, not completely grasping the language at that time yet. So it was still something like, oh, there's no dubs or there's no subs or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, this is just motivating.
What's happening? But I love it.
Right. But exactly. But it just motivated me to study Japanese more, and you could just walk into the video store and get like all your favorite anime. It was so like for me, because at the time, I mean, you guys are super lucky. You have no idea. When I was growing up, anime was like you had to kill to get your anime. You had to fight tooth and nail.
Yeah, I got to 5. And most people were just like in their 20s. And I'm just kidding. Sorry, I never killed anybody. Look at me.
Right. But it was not as accessible as it is now.
Yeah.
And I would go to regular Comic Cons or Star Trek conventions to get the off little booth that had the one guy selling bootleg anime. That's the way it used to be. People didn't cosplay as anime characters. Like that was sort of retarded back in the day. They were like, anime? What?
Yeah.
It wasn't even called anime, it was called Japanimation, guys. This was back then. So I was a Japanimation fan, and then went to Japan, and I was like in heaven, because I could just walk down to the street, and there it is in the video store. And I rent it, and then this is back in VHS. This is even before, I know you digital people out there, this is VHS periods, guys. When there were
the dark ages.
Fan dubs, where they'd hook 2 VCRs together and like try to cut and connect things, and you'd have that weird
make your own brotherhood, like right in real time.
Go watch Kung Fury if you haven't seen it, and that'll give you an idea, taste of what back in the day, the way I used to see things,
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And like, was there anything over there that hasn't made it over here yet?
Oh, there was tons. Yeah. That's why I said I was in heaven.
You should just start like just clamoring about it.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is blowing my mind. And then, I was literally in anime heaven.
That's so cool.
And then to sort of think that I could even do a voice for any of these things back in the States. Like I was living in Japan, and that's at that time when you're living in that, in your bubble. I never thought I was going to ever come back to the States again.
Yeah.
So, and do this kind of work, So it was kind of surreal now looking back at it.
That's so cool. Anybody have a question for Reuben? Oh man, you do.
Yep.
We'll start with you. You're in the front row.
Alright. Can I stand up?
Yeah. What do you want to do?
Project my voice.
Anything that's legal, please.
Alright, so my name is Reuben. Nice to meet you.
Your name's Reuben too!
My name's Brian. Nice to meet you, Reuben.
Oh, wait. Huh?
Yeah,
Whoa. You should have kept going. You're now Reuben. Congratulations. We anoint you, Reuben.
Anoint the
I'm Brian.
Sir Reuben. Okay.
Alright, so
All right, Reuben.
nice to meet you, Reuben. I'm a fan of tokusatsu.
Okay, I can tell. I can see your shirt has some kind of tokusatsu with the license on it.
It's made by Michi Yamato. He was on Beetleborgs.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So I know you were B Fighter Kabuto.
Yep.
I've only seen clips because no one has subbed the show yet.
Right. Unfortunately. Yeah.
I noticed you were in the music video for Kamen Rider Chiyo.
I was. Yes.
Reporters, and I just wanted to ask two things, two quick things.
Sure.
Do you think you'll ever appear in any tokusatsu series or movie in the future? And could you do your henshin pose from B Fighter?
Oh, okay. I just remembered my henshin pose. I was like, wait, what was it? Okay, it just came back to me. I'd love to be in a Sentai series or tokusatsu, either one. Still stay in touch with Koichi Sakamoto, who's sort of like the main Sentai tokusatsu man right now in Japan, directing stuff. But he's like crazy busy. And I was actually living in Japan recently for about 8 months. I was sort of going back and forth. My wife's visa, we're trying to sort that out. And she's unable to come to the States right now. So we're trying to get that out of the way. And in the meantime, I can go there. So I kept going back and I spent, a good 8 months, mostly in Japan. And that's when I got the call for the music video thing. So it literally was like an extra in a music video. Like a featured extra. And I just got the call, like, hey, can you come do this? And the guarantee, I got paid $100 for that. It was ridiculous. But because it was Kamen Rider, I was like, typically I'd say no to this kind of work, but it's Kamen Rider. I'm a huge tokusatsu fan myself. And, I think, was it the Pump? Was that the name?
Yeah, the Pump.
The Pump, yeah. So, they're like a, pretty hip and happening group right now. USA. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyways, it's a Japanese thing. She knows, right? Shiho-san, you know what I'm talking about. USA. You don't know what it is?
Japan. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So I accepted it. I'm like, this would be a little, how do I say, a little kind of message to the fans. They'll get it too. So I think when I actually did it, like nobody knew who I was. So the director of the music video, De Pump, like nobody knew I had this other alternate ego.
Yeah.
Sitting on stages doing anime conventions.
Yeah.
So they were just like, yeah, he's just
with a spotlight.
He's just a white dude that speaks Japanese and he's in Japan. He's like an English teacher or something. So it was kind of funny the whole time. Just,
what college are you with?
Exactly. So back to your question about would I ever be in a tokusatsu again? If I get the call, I think I would. I'd love to do it, But again, that's not sort of my call. It's Koichi and whatever they're doing, and usually...
Just start messaging, just DM them on Twitter.
Yeah, I should probably hit them up and say, hey, Koichi, just so you know. I did do a guest appearance in another TV show there. Shiho-san, あの番組、刑事番組覚えてる？僕がちょっとだけ出てるやつ。
Yes.
あれ、タイトルは何でしたっけ？
なんだっけ?
何でしたっけな
I forgot.
She forgot the name too. Anyways, it was just like, it just aired.
明智小五郎. 明智小五郎.
明智小五郎.
Yes, 探偵明智小五郎.
So I did a small little fighting guest appearance role in a TV show called it's a special. They have it wasn't like a regular. It was just a 2-episode off special.
Yeah.
Called Akechi Tokoro.
明智小五郎.
Kogoro. Akechi Kogoro.
Yes.
Which was it's like a police drama basically, and I played a hacker terrorist.
The part that you were born to play. That's so cool. I would love that. I'd be like, I'm a hacker terrorist. No, I don't like that. I'll take that bagger at a grocery store.
Yeah, so I actually haven't even seen the show, so I don't know how it turned out. But I got screenshots sent from my wife. She was like, yeah, look, you're on Japanese TV.
That's amazing.
So that was just a couple months ago. So yes, obviously I am still back and forth. So if they were to call me and say, hey, Reuben, come do an episode of whatever the latest Tokusatsu Kamen Rider thing is, absolutely, count me in.
Come play a motorcycle.
I'd let it be a motorcycle.
He's got range, guys.
Hold the wheel like this.
Oh my god.
And people would ride me, I guess. I don't know how that would work, but hey, I'm up for anything.
Yeah, at this point. Maybe what? Okay, I'll do it.
Especially in Japan.
Helicopter.
Especially in Japan. That'd be a lot of fun.
I mean, so I guess like doing small stuff like that. Is there anything, I guess, with anime, video games, anything? Is there like something that you would just say no to?
Probably hentai. Maybe it
If
depends.
you're a motorcycle in hentai,
That's another story.
that's a different story,
I
guys.
think I might do that. Alright, if I was the motorcycle. But I don't know, you know what? I really don't have much of a filter, if you guys have noticed. I pretty much cover all spectrums.
Which is cool.
And
You want to entertain.
I want to entertain as long as it's fun and in relatively good taste. So there's good taste hentai. I mean, and that exists.
Yeah.
I'm sure, maybe, possibly. I would do some good taste hentai. It was a good taste.
Yeah, I think everything's just beautiful and
Yeah. Well,
HBO is attached to it too.
yeah. Totally.
Yeah, we have another question? Yeah, he had his hand up first, so I'll get to you in a second. Yeah, you.
Hi, I just have a question about when you're doing the mocap for Devil May Cry 5. Dante loves eating pizza, and I'm just wondering, like, do you actually eat pizza when you're doing that? And if you do you do like a spit take or do you just swallow it?
I never swallow.
Hey, you guys, thank you for coming today.
No, so actually it's because it doesn't matter what it actually is on set. It's actually just cardboard. So it's like little cardboard pieces. They cut it out in the shape, and then I just have to hold it and make it alignment, and then they'll animate it later. So it's really I don't have to. That's the beauty of mocap. And it's sort of also the curse. Because, when you're dealing with real production, with the clothes and the everything, you really can get into, it's much easier to sort of get into your role.
Yeah.
The beauty and the curse of mocap, mostly the beauty of it, is like stage plays, like we're doing up here. If we're gonna do some improv or, work on a stage, you have to use your imagination.
Yeah.
And mocap is very much a throwback to the old stage play stuff, which I enjoy, I did a little bit of that in not in high school, but after in Japan, actually. I was studying and doing some improv stuff. And that, it's sort of a throwback to that. So I really like that form of storytelling. And, I have mad respect for what the Critical Role guys are doing right now with the D&D stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's that sort of, let's get the audience, let's use our imagination. And I feel there's that art of storytelling has sort of been lost over the years. With all the crazy films and big blockbusters and the amazing CGI, and you can do that. And I love mocap as a medium to sort of, for us actors, to sort of go back to those days.
The science, everything, the tech with mocap and everything like that kind of allows this whole different experience. Like what you're saying, like with mocap, when you're doing a movie, you're on set with hundreds of people. There's like maybe 20 to 30, maybe 40 crew members and everything like that. And you're doing kind of the same thing over and over again. You're only doing like 5 seconds at a time. Like, all right, we're doing what's one take? It's one take. Right. Over and over and over again. Where mocap, you're essentially in the theater. You don't know what you're doing. It's a completely different thing.
It's way more intimate.
Yeah.
So I was, working on the biggest films in Hollywood, Avatar and Tintin. And I remember for Tintin, I had James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, and Peter Jackson all right there.
Yep.
And I'm working with Andy Serkis. And you would think a production like that would have this huge, crazy set with all of these, producers and trailers and budgets and everything else like all the other movies that those guys do. But we're just like in a little mocap studio like this. And Steven Spielberg's like, Reuben, oh, that's a good name, Reuben, I like that.
See?
It's like,
Reuben?
Yes, that's Reuben. So I'm gonna have you do this, working with Andy Serkis and doing this thing, and then I'm like, okay, great. And it's just, and it's like a dream. I'm like, am I actually, are these guys the real deal? And I'm actually working with them in that context. But nobody knows because we're in a secret location in a studio in Playa Vista, and it's like 5 people literally on set. There's a couple technicians behind with the things, but it was a very intimate setting.
I've always considered mocap being a completely, and Andy Serkis talks about it too, it's a completely different form of just media. but you have animation. Everything's drawn. It's hand drawn. It's just so one-dimensional. Where mocap, it is essentially, I think, the evolved form of theater.
Absolutely.
I wholeheartedly believe that. I was a theater major because I didn't want to make money, and
you're following your passion, sir. Money is irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't. You know what?
Do you know what the definition of abundance is?
Not having a theater degree.
No.
No, I don't actually. I guess.
So here's my sort of take from a Space Aliens version of what abundance is.
Okay.
Abundance is the ability to do what you want when you need to do it, right?
Yeah.
Not when you want to do it, but when you need to do it, okay? Nowhere in that definition is money involved. So if you're able to do what you want when you need to do it, you are in full of abundance. And most of us actually are in full of abundance, but we just forget about it.
Can you just be like my motivational speaker, just like every day? Hey, champ. Hey,
So
guy.
you're in full abundance, man. And money doesn't matter. Forget
It doesn't
about
matter.
stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're amazing. Not only do you do this mocap, which is amazing stuff, anime. I mean, you do video games. I mean, you're a stuntman, and I have to tell you, like right now, I feel like it is the peak of stunts.
It is
intense. I will give 3 things credit for that. I'll give absolutely Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, but I'll say Game of Thrones because it is so like it's happening, or it just happened. But I get John Wick series.
John Wick, I just watched Keanu do a show on one of those talk shows yesterday, and Keanu's rocking it, man. I mean, he did it from Matrix. He really got heavy into the training and stuff.
Absolutely.
But for John Wick, he's going full out. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you've been doing it for years. I mean, how do you feel? Because stunts have just changed, honestly, a lot. Like, I mean, just with just technology. Like,
Well, technology and also the Hong Kong influence.
Yeah.
So many people may not know this, but behind the scenes, so when Hong Kong action movies were sort of Jackie Chan and Jet Li and these guys were coming out in the late 80s, early 90s, and starting to come to America, there was a major influx. We saw The Matrix, Charlie's Angels, and many other TV shows. My mentor, Samuel Hong, who did the TV show Martial Law, back in late 90s, early 2000. So these shows were sort of coming to America, and the stunt coordinators and people of the time were, there was a resistance against it. There was a lot of those Hong Kong Phooey guys, that kind of stuff. But
he's super dumb.
But you look to see what they're doing, especially with Matrix.
Yeah.
Look at what those Hong Kong Phooey guys are doing, and look what Jackie Chan's doing, and look what Jet Li's doing. Look what these actors and with the coordinators and the choreography that comes around that. Look what they're doing. So a lot of my generation, at that time I was early 20s, mid 20s, and just eating it up. Those guys are now in my generation of stunt people who sort of got into the industry at the time, and we all looked up to the Hong Kong stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of those guys now are now in a position, they're older, and they've been doing their thing, integrating the Hong Kong action into their coordinating and everything, instead of pushing it away like those old timers back in the day.
Yeah.
And now what we see is this merge of Hong Kong action, Hollywood technology, and just creativity in a whole other level.
Fantastical.
Because we're not limited by cinematic filmmaking. It's always been revolutionary. They're always trying to come up with new ideas and pushing the bar all the time. But we have advanced technology now with CG graphics and even safety rigs when it comes to stunts. So incorporating all of these elements from CGI. It's not all CGI. There's a lot of human ingenuity that goes behind the scenes into coming up with special rigs to make it safe for the actor to do these extraordinary things that we couldn't do before. And that's all cultivating together to we're seeing shows like John Wick.
Yeah.
And it's
and you're like,
mind-blowing. And the
first you're just like, you want me to do what? And then you see everything like, oh, okay.
And the Avengers, a lot of people don't know, yes, there was a CGI overlay and a lot of that, but a lot of that action is real people doing stuff. They're beating each other and flying across the room, and it's just, there's a CG element to it, but it's not all CG.
Yeah.
So to see this integration, for me, I've sort of taken a little step back because I'm focusing on interviewing space aliens, which we can get to later.
Absolutely.
But doing that and also doing my voiceover acting and more acting in the games as opposed to the stunts. So the stunt side of it I'm still involved with. I still do coordinating from time to time, but my focus is more on the acting side and production side, and watching my stunt brothers and sisters out there doing amazing stuff. And I say sisters because a lot of now the industry is actually changing. We actually have, unlike before, we have women stunt coordinators, which Avengers was a woman stunt coordinator.
So cool.
And it's great to see that, because that, again, this shows that the times are changing, where we didn't have that back in the day. It was an all male masculine, stunts is very like masculine, and let's go beat somebody's face in, and if you and if it hurts, then too bad, because you're a stuntman and suck it up, But now it's becoming more, it's getting a little bit softer, and we're able to now introduce
things that we never thought we could see before.
Exactly, because when you're just so narrow-minded, you only see so far. So
exactly.
So it's great. It's a beautiful time to be alive. It's a beautiful time to go to the movies and see your friends in the credits and see all of them, what they're doing, and I love it.
That's so cool. Alrighty, we had a question. I know you've been waiting for a while. Sorry, buddy.
It's kind of funny, really. You got two Power Rangers, the Black Ranger and the Quantum Ranger. It's kind of funny. So when you guys were doing the thing, did you kind of have to share the jealousy in the guy's voice? I mean, it's kind of funny, really.
Doing the thing.
Sorry.
Which thing was that?
Virgil and Dante.
Virgil and Dante. So you're talking about Johnny and Dan.
Yeah.
Quantum Ranger, Black Ranger.
Yeah.
And then random stunt guy. No. But we all worked on Power Rangers, and I think maybe what you're asking is that Ranger rivalry. I didn't really have that because I was never like a Power Ranger in America. I was just doing the Beetleborg or B-Fighter stuff in Japan. But to hear the stories about how Johnny and Dan were actually going for the same role. Dan actually auditioned for Black Ranger really early on in the day. At that time, I was living in Japan, so I had no idea what was going on here. But yeah, there wasn't, I would say, a rivalry, but there was sort of this connection. We all have the Power Ranger connection, so to say. And in fact, when we were shooting Devil May Cry 5, we were on the Toei studio lot. They have their own motion capture studio, and I'll show you some clips from that later this afternoon. But we actually, Koichi Sakamoto, who we just said he's the main director for a lot of the Sentai and Tokusatsu series and special movies and Ultraman and all this stuff in Japan. He's like the god of that stuff. The go-to man. And he's literally probably received god-like status now. And he's put his mark on everything. And he was shooting next door, so during lunch we'd hang out in our mocap suits with Koichi and then go back and do our thing. But it literally was that was the unifying element that brought us all together, was the Power Rangers. So forever, ever grateful to the Power Rangers and to my experience with that, to working with all of the top choreographers and Koichi and other in the Alpha Stunt team and AAC and Makoto, and I was just reminiscing today, actually, looking out my hotel room, and I was like, I used to come, when Power Rangers had a budget, we used to come and shoot downtown. We used to blow up huge gasoline things just literally right around the corner.
That's awesome.
And I'd wear the spandex, and you'd feel the heat. You'd feel, and you're like, ooh, that's hot. I gotta stay here and look cool. Oh, where's it gonna go? I think my pants are on fire, but that's okay. I'm just gonna hold the pose.
They didn't say cut yet?
They didn't say cut. So
it's insane how much Power Rangers and even Sentai has brought so many people together and has created so many careers, and in the different countries. Like right now, we probably wouldn't even have oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. Doesn't matter anymore. It's gone. He came back as Bryan Cranston. We probably wouldn't have like Bryan Cranston as big as he is if it wasn't for his couple roles in Power Rangers. He does his whole interview. Not now, but later, listen to it. It's amazing. His whole story of going from Power Rangers to Breaking Bad and everything. It's amazing. But with you doing this stuff, it's awesome. You get to do it kind of here, just do crazy stuff, and now you're Dante, and you're doing all this other epic stuff. It's just great. And now you're fighting in Street Fighter.
Well, yeah, we'll be doing some Street Fighter together too. I've been playing Street Fighter since it came out.
Really? So what was it? What was it like being casted? Just
I think I wet my pants a little bit. Even at the audition, I was literally, I think I had to go to the bathroom and dry it out. just at the audition, because I was like, this is Street Fighter. And it's all NDAs, and they don't tell you what you're auditioning for. I went in, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm gonna say, I just got called into audition for Street Fighter. I couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But then I got the call. Hey, so it looks like they want to go with you for Ken Masters, and I'm like, because I auditioned for a couple roles.
yeah, absolutely.
And when they said they want you for Ken, then it was just complete soilage all over the floor, everywhere. It just leaked. It leaked everywhere. My whole house was flooded. Really,
Yeah.
I had to. Yeah,
I think I saw the news
it was a
report.
bad smell. That smell you smell out in the street right now, it's like that, like times 1,000. Really.
I mean, everything with video games now has changed so much throughout the years, especially just like the casting processes and everything. I mean, do you like kind of like how it's going? You know, the acting aspect of it has just kind of changed completely.
Yes. It's good and it's bad. You know, I love now because we can digitally audition for things that we couldn't before.
Yeah.
We could just like grab an iPhone and hey, this is my audition.
This is my audition for Sonic. Gangster's Paradise is in the background. Okay, cool, bye.
Right. So we can do that and send it, and but even now it's just ridiculous because I got called for an audition for a big project last weekend, but I was so busy just doing everything here that they were like, the cutoff time is Monday night, and I was like, I don't have time, because it was like a heavy set of dialogue in another language and all this other stuff, and I was like, I can't get to it till Tuesday. I'm like, sorry. I'm like, oh well. But like just the fact that I could be in the other side of the world and put something on tape and send it in, we couldn't do that before.
Yeah.
You had to live in LA. You had to live somewhere close to where those auditions and castings were happening.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's incredible. Technology is amazing.
That's awesome. I'm gonna go with you. You had your hand up earlier.
Hi, it's Tommy. Big fan of Devil May Cry. In Devil May Cry 3, I remember there was like this video that you guys said they put inside the game. It was you doing the commercial. And then they had you bleach your hair. And I remember there was a scene where like you're sitting down, you're icing your knee or something.
Yeah.
It was like, you kind of like talk to us about that experience, because like they overlay everything with like music in that video.
Sure.
And I wanted to know like how come they didn't do a commercial for 5?
Yeah, well, I was actually gonna show a little bit of that in my presentation, but yeah,
cool.
the main thing for that, so that commercial, and I might repeat a little bit of this depending on how big the crowd is for tonight, but they had initially planned for this big commercial, and it kind of came together. They didn't have the budget, and everything kind of fell through at the last minute, but they were able to scrounge up enough money to say, hey, Reuben, could you come out and do this commercial? It's only going to air for 2 weeks in Japan, only in Japan, not the US. But we don't really have a budget. Would you do it if we just paid for your flight? And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. I get to dress up as Dante? Are you crazy? Of course I'll do it.
Do you still have the suit?
They never gave me the suit, so that should have been in my contract, because the suit costs more than anything else in the whole budget of
Like suit,
the jacket.
flight.
The jacket actually was the most expensive part of the entire budget.
Wow.
It's in some Capcom warehouse or glass case, and I don't know where it's at.
Wouldn't a lot. You could be wearing it right now.
I couldn't wear it right now. I'd be a little warm, but that's okay. I'd be Dante.
It's in the glass case of emotion.
So it was, but however, so it was what we decided to. They sort of changed the original idea of the commercial, and we pitched some things, and it ended up being based off of this sort of action fight reel that I made here in the States with the action team Zero Gravity, and we presented that, and they liked the idea so much. We're like, let's just do that in Japan with Yuji and his team, Yuji Shimomura, the cinematic director. So I literally, this was the longest shoot I've ever had, because it was just me, and we shot for 24 hours, so literally. So I got little breaks while they would change the setups, lighting setups and things. Okay, I'd go back for a break, but literally the end of that, I remember I was sore for 3 or 4 days. Because being in the wire and swinging a sword, that's not really balanced correctly. My forearms were just like dying, and they dyed my hair, did the whole thing. But they dyed my hair a couple days before. But the problem was because I was just exhausted. It was like the middle of the night, and we'd already been going so long. I was jumping on the trampoline over and over doing these different moves, and the boots they gave me were not good boots. They were like 20-pound boots.
Oh, she would have been like, no.
They were like real, like heavy. They were costume designed, but not action designed. Most big budgets you go to, they give you a separate sort of action shoes, that are light and easy to work with, and so you could do all your action stunts. These were not the case. So after jumping on the trampoline over and over again, literally because when you jump up, your body goes up, but the boots and the gravity goes down, and it was pulling my knee apart, and I blew out my knee on that at some point, and it was that's what it was. So I was literally icing my knee, like, okay, how many more times do you want me to jump? Give me a second. Taking some aspirin and trying to okay, let's go back at it. So, but yeah, it was just a picture, so it's hard to explain that.
Yeah, it was like this really cool video, and you were just like,
I was like, oh, I can't do another one. No. What time is it? When are we got here?
Yeah, come back tonight at 6:30 for the panel that's all about Devil May Cry. It's going to be awesome. So, anybody else have a question? I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was you who was behind it. Yeah.
Mr. Langdon, do you have, you do a lot of voice acting and things in general. Are there any series or franchises that you want to get into?
I just want to say, first off, I love your voice acting, but your things are amazing. That's all I want to say.
My things?
Your things are just
My things. I've got good things, guys. Is there something that I would like to be involved in, you're asking?
Yeah, any voice acting work in like a series or a franchise or something?
What's your dream?
Yeah, what is
What is my dream?
Okay, Smash.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Dante in Fortnite.
Okay, no,
Let's just put Dante, that sticker, the Dante, starring Dante from the original Devil May Cry series. We should put that sticker on every single anime out there. And
I want a Dante's Inferno.
yeah. And then I should be called to just play, random Dante showing up and everything. Like, let's do that. No, just kidding. I would never have job security, that's all I'm saying. But no. You know what? So I guess this is a good time to introduce my other interest. I've been I wear many hats, but one of my other hats that sort of cross over sometimes, I've been a UFO researcher for over a decade. And I get called to go to UFO conventions. I've been given awards because of my research. And because of my career, doing this type of work, stunt working stuff, I actually have time to devote to this career, to this research and study of the paranormal and the unexplainable and this sort of phenomenon, which is, I'm so grateful for this career because I'm allocated enough funds and money for me to pursue my true passion, which is trying to figure out the secrets of the universe, right? So, anal lobe or probe?
No, he said we're not alone.
Oh, we're not alone. I thought you said anal probe.
Come back at 7:30.
Come back at 7:30. We'll be doing the anal probe panel. Oh, that's going to be really fun. So
Anal Probe, the musical.
Hey, I will be holding lessons, the workshop on anal probe, and that's what my 10 years of UFO research has taught me. Best but so I guess to answer your question, so you guys don't know this, but there's they sort of call it the spiritual Netflix. It's called Gaia TV. It's an online platform, a subscription-based platform, and in the sort of the spiritual community and UFOs and yoga and that kind of stuff, it's a big deal. So my show, I have a TV show called Interview with Ed, Extra Dimensionals. Got picked up on that show, on that channel, that network, back in March. I just found out last week, it's the #1 show on Gaia right now.
That is so cool. Congratulations.
So I'm following my passion, doing my other show, which it's, again, you guys are into the Devil May Cry, I love it, I love this work, I love both. But I kind of am already doing this other, wearing this other hat, and exploring and talking to space aliens and everything else, and it's pretty cool that I'm actually now getting recognition for that work, that I've been devoting like 10 years and sort of living under a rock. Not really living under a rock, but just sort of like, most people don't know I'm doing this, but, and now I'm finally getting recognition for that. So I'm actually super grateful for both worlds and to see them sort of merging a little.
Absolutely. And like, it kind of goes with like having a creative mind. It's like you want something that's so out there, so different, and you kind of want to understand it, or at least engulf it.
For me, it was, it's not me wanting something out there. I had some personal experiences, you know, some of us have had paranormal experiences, and others try to talk us and say, no, that didn't happen, and then we're like, I know it happened, I was not on any hallucinogenic drugs or anything, but I saw some things in the sky.
If you eat macaroni and cheese after 6:45, your brain is...
That could happen, you know, because studies show that when we go to sleep in the middle of the night, you know, especially around 2 a.m., melatonin has released different chemicals in a specific chemical called DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which is the psychoactive ingredient in the ayahuasca, the South American psychedelic tea that makes you trip. Literally, our brains produce that, and it hits its peak around 2 or 3. So you could literally eat some macaroni and cheese around 2 or 3 in the morning and start tripping balls. And
I'm tripping. I need mac and cheese.
So you don't need any external substances to do that.
You don't need drugs, kids. You just need to not sleep.
Well, no, because scientists are actually connecting the DMT and our dream sequences and saying that there's probably a connection somewhere between, somewhere with the release of DMT and dreams. So it hasn't been fully connected yet, but that's in development, and I guarantee you there's going to be some connections there. So they also call DMT, it's, there's what's his name, Robert Strassman. So if you guys watch Joe Rogan, he goes into DMT all the time. And it's called nicknamed the spirit molecule. So there's a lot of indigenous cultures all over the planet that sort of look at this substance called DMT. And yeah, so there's just, sorry, now I'm geeking out, I'm going to my other world, but we can bring it back into Devil May Cry.
Get me started about Winnie the Pooh, I can go on and on and on.
But, well, that's another world, another extra-dimensional reality that we can traverse. But no, really, so I had some really crazy experiences back in 2007, and I started questioning not only my sanity, but reality in general, because I knew what I saw. I started investigating, and other people started also having, or other people not having, but have had these crazy experiences, and a lot of people just didn't talk about them.
Yeah.
So as I investigated, I started pulling it out and finding out, wow, a lot of even close personal friends that I knew also shared crazy experiences.
Yeah, it's just something you just don't really bring up, and then once you start kind of like investigating, it's just, everything's just kind of there, and like, oh, cool.
So once I started connecting the dots, then yes, so then I started going deeper, then developing TV shows and developing events and talking to top military people in the world, heads of SAC nuke bases, former Defense Minister of Canada, and then if you guys have been paying attention, last week the Navy finally admitted that UFOs are real.
That's amazing.
So we're in some really interesting times right now. We're in some really interesting times, so just pay attention.
Yes.
And keep looking up.
Absolutely.
Not in here though.
Yes, it looks like a Punisher shirt. I can't tell.
Oh no, it's Skullgirls.
Got it. Oh, yeah, makes more sense. Right, thanks.
So, of course, you just mentioned UFOs, and I see that you have an alien on your t-shirt. So, I'm pretty sure you might have some experience with the franchise, but how do you feel about Destroy All Humans being remastered?
Destroy All Humans. I don't think I'm familiar with that part.
It's a couple video games from PS2. PS2, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there was one on Xbox 362.
Yeah.
Is it like a Mars Attacks kind of thing?
Yeah.
You're an alien, we're not killing people.
Yeah.
So, the first game is 1950s, where you play as an alien invading, and then the second game is the 60s with the hippie movement.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna have to look into those games, but you know what?
They're fun.
As long as it's all in fun, but there has been, I'll say this, there has been a somewhat conscious, somewhat subconscious, somewhat unconscious move to project ETs in a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my friend Shiho about this with the Independence Day being, sort of one of those Mars attacks. We have all these great movies, and they're fun, and it's great. But all of it isn't just coming from one guy's imagination. There is actually documentation of the CIA funding. Well, we know they fund the National Enquirer, but they also have funded other projects in Hollywood. And this has all come out through FOIA requests and other things. But there's literally an agenda going on behind the scenes for the CIA to fund specific projects that carry a specific narrative and even steer the narrative and say, look, we'll give you money if you change the story and make it this way.
Oh, wow.
And there's been, there's actually been an intentional misdirection, misinformation of the ET, topic.
I bet they just hate Star Trek.
I bet you they do.
Yeah.
I bet you they do. And Gene Roddenberry was a visionary.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really extraordinary person in what he did. And why do you think when the series first came, it only lasted 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then it tanked. But a lot of that was, not just because it was a bad show. Obviously, it lived and still lives today.
One of my favorite movies of all time, probably my 4th favorite movie, is The Day the Earth Stood Still. Not the one with Keanu Reeves. As much as I love Keanu Reeves, man, that movie. But the one from 62.
Yeah.
That is one of the most amazing movies. If you like classic
Powerful
movies,
message, very
absolutely powerful. It is a story that just has not been told yet. Essentially, just an alien here to give us a warning, and we just see it as a threat, and it just is. It's crazy. It's great.
Yeah,
but let's do one more question, and then we'll close it out. Oh man, you already asked a question. So
there's a guy way over there.
I
He's
see
really
him.
excited.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't gotten a moment though. I would love to hear your question.
So I'm a big fan, and I have a lot of friends in Japan that's also your fan for DMC.
Yay!
So when I told them I was coming here, they were all really, really jealous. So they actually gave me a lot of questions. So I'll just ask the one.
Okay.
Your Japanese is amazing. So we were all talking about how it would be like to have Dante speak Japanese with your voice. So would that be an okay request? Please.
Okay.
Really cool.
Let me see, because what's his name? The voice actor who does Dante, Morikawa-san. He's like one of the top voice actors, if not the top voice actor in Japan. So to match his level of performance with my sort of gaijin Nihongo da ne, I don't think I could quite do it justice. But I could, Ikareta party hajimari na. Yeah, so I have that weird namari, right? So it doesn't come out quite as clean. If I practice it, maybe I don't know. You'd have to give me some Dante lines in Japanese. Give me some, and I'll see if I can do it.
Well, basically, you just have to introduce yourself as Dante would, I guess. You're Dante, and I don't throw in a funny laugh.
But Dante never introduces himself anywhere.
Oh.
We can do here's a scenario.
Yeah, give me a scenario.
Dante wants to get a strawberry and cream cappuccino, and they're asking for his name.
They're asking for his name?
Yeah, what's your name on the cup?
Orewa Dante da.
Okay. I have Fonty. Fonty?
Ciao.
Fonty!
Dante te yuttanaro! Something like that.
And
Scene.
We'll do one more question. One more. That was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, you, Mr. Hat.
Thank you.
No problem.
I've seen the Devil May Cry, the anime, the fun animation one. So I was wondering, we've seen Dante the strawberry sundae and the pizza. So
Yep.
I'm wondering, are you into that? Because that's basically all he eats.
Well, here I am drinking my kombucha. And for dinner tonight, I'm going to go to Shojin Ryori, which is an amazing vegan sushi place here in Little Tokyo, if you haven't been there. So that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm really into. But I've got nothing against strawberry sundaes and pizza, but that's a character I portray in video games.
Yeah.
And the real me is sort of like this health nut, vegan, mostly vegan. that's it.
Absolutely.
So,
Alright, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys had a lot of fun.
so I'm off to do a signing.
Yeah, he's doing a signing, and I have all the information right here. Let's see. You're doing a signing from 2:30 to 3:30 out in the lobby right now with a limit of 1 autograph per guest. And you have your Devil May Cry panel here.
I have, yes, I have a Devil May Cry panel back here.
Yeah, 6:30.
Are we going to be able to project anything? Because that's...
Let's talk to tech right after
yeah,
this.
because that's...
We have some time before your call time, so.
Yeah, because I have my laptop and some connections. And I'm also selling some posters and things, so anything you get, I'll sign. There's not, the one limit doesn't count for that stuff.
Absolutely. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Reuben Langdon, thank you so much. My name is Tyler McPhail. I run the Great Gathering podcast and other things that guys look like me do. And thank you so much. You guys have a great rest of your con. Ronin Expo 2019. I will be back here interviewing Stephanie Naldani in 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, be back here for Stephanie Naldani, the voice of Kid Goku and Kid Gohan. And yeah. Thank you.